What's up, people? Welcome to the channel. My name is Giovanni G. Miles, and I'm a qualified mental health professional. I work with adults, and I have a history of working with children as well. I did therapeutic day treatment, mental health skills building, and intensive in-home services, excuse me. And it has been quite a journey for these past 2 to 3 years. The main reason I've created this video today is because when I was starting off as a qualified mental health professional, it was hard for me to find any video with any type of instruction or guidance on the in the field service. You know, it's always just been like vlogs of people brushing their teeth or getting themselves ready to prepare themselves for the day, but never no real in the field training or understanding. So pretty much, let's jump right into it. So what makes someone eligible to even receive mental health skills building services? Well, the list varies, but for the most part, if they have a history of psychotropic medications and a history of crisis or hospitalization, they are eligible to receive mental health skills building services. And each company accepts different Medicaids. With the company I'm with, we accept Molina and Centauro, which is pretty cool because those are very common. In the state of Virginia. I don't know where else, where you may be. But so when you receive your clientele, you're going to receive a caseload. After you receive a caseload, what you're going to do is you're going to check their ISP, their comprehensive ISP. If they have, not comprehensive, you're going to check their ISP. You're going to check their ISP, see what has been created for them after the assessment. Because of course, in the beginning, you're going to be responsible for creating that comprehensive ISP in the first 30 days. So you check the ISP, see what goals they have, you get the understanding, you check the assessment, see a little bit of information about the client, right? You know, you get to know them on paper. But if prior to meeting them, you want to call them or text them, you know, say, hey, how you doing? My name is Giovanni. My name is such and such. And I am your new mental health skills building counselor. And it's a pleasure meeting you. And I'm excited to work with you. When's a good time for us to meet today? Or can you meet at this time today? Or you can give them a call. You can do both. Whichever one they pick up from or they respond to, you go that method. So once you arrive to their home address, before you go in there, make sure you have some type of identification, some type of badge on that lets people know or anyone know that you are somebody there on official duty. You know, you're not just some random person in the hood just popping up at their crib. Because you got to realize, like, this is in the community. So he's going to be in neighborhoods that might not be the most comfortable neighborhood for people. You know, it's not always going to be a rich, high social economic neighborhood. So you got to announce yourself. Identify yourself. You know what I'm saying? So you got to have that type of identification. So in the beginning, it's all about getting to know the client. You want to get to know the client as much as possible in the beginning. You want to soak up like as much data as possible, as much information as possible, you know, because it's very important. So you're going to assess their mental and their emotional well-being. You're going to build that rapport. Hey, how you doing? How's your day been? You know, tell me a little bit about your day. After they tell you a little bit about their day, you go to, you know, well, tell me what brings you to this company, or what makes you feel as though you need mental health skills building, or why do you need mental health skills building? Ask them that question. Ask them, why are you here? You know, after they explain, if they ever get to a point where they're not feeling comfortable expressing themselves or talking, let them know, like, hey, look, if you ever feel uncomfortable, let me know, and I will pull back some of my open-ended questions. I will pull back some of my my probing questions. But in the beginning, in our relationship, you will you will be asked some of these questions because I have to know, because I'm going to be working with you. Of course, you go over any boundaries that you both might have, any communication boundaries, any physical boundaries, like don't touch my hand, you know, like if you're shaking somebody's hand, like you have to know this person because everybody has a different background. So you go over, after you assess their mental and emotional well-being, you build the rapport, you COVID screen them, ask them, hey, do you have any symptoms of COVID? You can go over the list of different symptoms, or you can simply ask them, have you had any COVID symptoms, or have you had any symptoms of sickness in the past 24 hours? You need to know this. And also, almost forgot, when you're meeting these clients, wear a mask. You're going to put a mask on. You're going to wear a mask when you go in their house. When you're in the car together, you're going to wear that mask because you don't know what type, you don't know You're in the field, you have to protect yourself, because if you get sick, that's on you. That's on you. All right, so you gotta have that mask as well. So after the COVID screening, you want to go over, and of course the boundaries, you want to go over their stressors. Get to know their stressors. What causes you stress? What brings you stress? What disrupts your peace and your equilibrium, your emotional equilibrium? Like what affects your day, right? And then if they having a hard time explaining, or they, you know, go into, and they go after they're finished explaining, either they don't go into depth, they go into depth, or they don't know. The next question, or the next types of questions you can ask are, well, excuse me, how is your thinking patterns? How is your thinking? Do you have any disruptive thoughts? Do you have any repetitive thoughts? Any loud ringing thoughts? Do you have anything that causes that causes chaos within your mind? How is the quality of your mindscape, your mind's environment? How are you right now, and how are you been in the past? Get to know them. And you ask them, well, how's your behaviors? You know, tell me a little bit about your behaviors and your decision making. You want to know, like, what type, if they have like if they've been making any crazy changes in their behaviors, making any decisions that are wild, or, you know, that's just that has a history of causing them any trouble. And then of course you can keep going. You can ask them, hey, well, can you tell me a little bit about your sleeping patterns, your eating habits? How have your eating been over the past year? How's things been? Because you want to know all this information, because a lot of the times there will be telltales just telling you, hey, something might either be going on where this person might need medication, or their medication might not be doing the job. So you got to ask these questions. And that's another important thing, their medication. But before we get to that exactly, because that's going to be community resource, you're going to want to know, you're going to want to link them to everything. If they don't already have a PCP, a primary care if they don't have a primary doctor, if they don't have a psychiatrist, they don't have a dentist, if they don't have whatever, if they had any injuries or surgeries and they need a special doctor, you need to make sure your job is to link them up to everything. So, and have it on your calendar. I have 2 calendars, but you don't really need 2. It depends on how you are, one personal, one work. But, you know, you want to make sure that they are linked and they have all their, because you need the mental health, they need the medication. So you want to make sure they have a psychiatric medication. So moving forward, now that you have an understanding of, all right, we have all these doctor's appointments, we have all the appointments set in your calendar. And if you, on that very first day, it don't have to be the very first day, but you want to go ahead and make it your very first goal to link them to these doctors, to set up and schedule these appointments if they don't already have one coming up, because that's on you. You're their healthcare. You're covering them. You're making sure that they're covered from top to bottom. All right, inside and out. That is your job, but not it's your job. All right. So this all, for the most part, is like on an everyday basis. You want to assess them every day. You want to assess them daily. You want to ask them, hey, what's your goal for this week? What is your goal to what is your goal for your counselor today? What is your goal for me? What would you like to work on this week? Or what resources would you like to pick up or to have access to this week? It can be a food pantry. It can be clothing. It can be anything. it can be anything. But as long as it's effective, as long as it's towards assisting them, and not anything like don't get wild in your thinking, but you get what I'm saying. Like, you want to make sure that they have the resources that's necessary. If they need, also you're going to, it almost slipped my mind, y'all. It kind of almost slipped my mind, and it's right there. It's like it's on. You know how they be like, it's on the tip of my tongue, but right now it's on the edge of my brain, and I'm sitting here like, what was I about to say? But it'll come back. It'll come back. Moving forward. Let's see. Oh, community engagement. That's something that you have to have your client participate in weekly. You know what I'm saying? Like, you want them out the house. You want them to either be at events or having outings to where they're not just stuck in the house. You don't want your clients stuck in the house all week. If they're working and they're just going from work to home, I can understand that from time to time, but you want to have some community engagement. Try to either bring them to some community events where they can learn information, or either you help them, you push them towards going out with with their social group, with their support group, their friend group, however you want to call it. You want to make sure that they have support, one. And that's another thing. What is their support? Again, this is not in a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because there's no way you're gonna remember this like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 every day. And if you can, that's kudos to you, man. But at the end of the day, you do want to make sure you have their support group understanding. You can, of course, the safety plan should already be done, because this kind of goes into the safety plan, like who is your support group, what are your symptoms, what are your physical symptoms, what are some of the ways you respond, what are your triggers, so I didn't plan to go too much into the safety plan, but that safety plan is important. And since we're already on the topic, you want to make sure they have the safety plan in their chart, and you want to make sure that you can go over that safety plan, but as long as you have the information, that is perfectly fine. All right, so I don't want to give you too much information or go over too much in this first episode, first video. Tomato, whatever. But man, being a counselor is it's fun. It's challenging, and it keeps you on your toes. And it's so much to think about, so much to go into, so many different routes to take, especially when you get into the actual bread and butter, the cream of the wheat. Like, what are y'all doing when y'all around each other? Like, what is, and that's the thing. Based off the client's goals, their struggles, their ISP, you want to build the program. So every day you're going to be watching educational videos. You're going to be practicing stress reduction exercises, activities that help with the thinking, with the behavior, with the automatic thinking. You want to help them with their emotions, with stabilization of their emotions, with control and regulations of their behaviors, with understanding and comprehensive understanding of their ways of thinking and their impression of the world around them, and their understanding of how relationships work. It's so much you can go into. It all depends. It's client by client, base by base, but you want to be able to have methods for them to release their emotions. You can work with them with exercise, meditation, yoga, journaling. You can work with them on practicing repeating or reciting affirmation. You can work on different activities that help them reflect on their self-worth, abandonment issues, traumas. But you don't want to go too much. You do too far. You want to stay at a certain. You want to keep your boundary. Keep your boundary. For the most part, though, when it comes to it, there's gonna be another video, and I'm a case by case or client by client. But if you have any questions, concerns, man, hit me up. Again, my name is Giovanni. I go by YoGio. And hey, qualified mental health professionals, we got to stick together. We in the field, we out here, and we doing God's work. So we got to have fun with it, make it easy, keep it simple, but make sure that whatever you're doing, it's effective and it genuinely does help the client. So yeah, so peace.